After fleecing a woman of all her money, conman Mark Acklom went to prison. That was 4 years ago. Now he's free and living abroad, but his victim hasn't had a penny back.
It does really seem that the so-called criminal justice system just works in favour of the criminal and really doesn't give much consideration to the victim at all.
Now Miss Woods is asking Barclays Bank to return her money. It was stolen from her Barclays account, transferred by her to Acklom, but under his coercive control, and channelled through the personal account of an alleged accomplice who once worked for the bank. Under Acklom's direction, Miss Woods paid big sums into the account of Acklom's associate in increasing amounts, up to £30,000 at a time, some several days running. She was told it was a series of loans for building work. In 2 months, she paid out around £750,000.
Looking back now, over my bank statements, there was a total hemorrhage of money out of my account, hundreds of thousands of pounds in the matter of a few weeks, all going into one particular account. You'd think a red flag should have been raised somewhere. I would have expected the bank to contact me.
There were also payments she didn't authorise. The bank told her they couldn't explain them, and the money was paid back. Then Barclays closed her account without saying why. Miss Woods was running a clothes shop in Gloucestershire when Acklom walked in one day, wooed her and promised to marry her. Gradually, he isolated her from her family and friends. Then he stole her money. He was already married with children. He told her he was a wealthy banker and a secret agent for MI6. By the time she discovered the truth, Acklom was on the run in Spain and Italy. Early on in the investigation, police arrested 2 other suspects. Firstly, the former Barclays employee through whose account Miss Woods had transferred the money to Acklom. And then a woman who was still working for Barclays. Some of the money apparently went through her account too. In the end, neither of the suspects was charged. Specialist fraud lawyer Aaron Chohan said Barclays had no legal obligation to pay up, but there was a moral argument.
I think Barclays need to look at it and say, well, look, if we, for example, find that our employees were involved to quite a degree and they used their internal information, knowledge about how we operate to facilitate and assist the fraud, I think they need to stand back and say, should we bear any responsibility morally for this? And that might well lead to saying we should offer a goodwill payment.
Barclays was considering Miss Woods' claim. A spokesman said it could not comment on individual customer affairs.
If they had shown some interest in me as a client back then, perhaps this might not have happened. I mean, I do take responsibility myself for part of it, but I think since I highlighted this sort of coercive control and wrote about it, is that people are much, much more aware.
Miss Woods got justice when Acklom was finally brought back to Britain. He admitted some of the charges, effectively stealing £300,000 from her. But the judge who jailed him told her it was pretty unlikely she would get back any of her money from him. Martin Brunt, Sky News.